Hi, everyone. Happy Wellness Wednesday. My name is Becca, Sweeha Success Coach, joining you live at noon as usual to feature one of our amazing Sweeha graduates. We call them great graduates here. So it is my pleasure and honor today to bring to the world Janine McNiven, who recently graduated the Health and Wellness program. So I'm going to bring her on, and I encourage anyone who's live with us or rewatches this, just bring the questions, maybe lean into your curiosity. Maybe you have part of your story that resonates, but ask the questions and get curious. So I'm going to bring you on, Janine. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
I know, thank you. You have a busy schedule since you graduated, I know. First of
Mhm.
all, what program did you take at Sweetheart, Janine?
So, I did the Holistic Health and Wellness Coaching Diploma program with an emphasis in mindfulness.
Awesome. So nutrition and mindfulness is what kind of attracted you to the program, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny because I found the program online, I think on Instagram or something, and it kind of felt like one of those full body, like I need to do this type things.
Mm. Oh, that gave me chills. And I love
Yeah.
that. I never ask people like, how did you find us? Where were you? What were you doing? So,
Mhm.
that's amazing. Okay. So then when you saw that, how long did it take until you were like, I'm in, I'm fully doing this?
So I think I saw it in December of 2020, and I
Mm.
was enrolled and started the program by February of the next year. Um, it was kind of a pretty quick turnaround. I was like, this is just something that really, I liked like the holistic approach and the connection, the focus on the connection between the mind, body, spirit.
Mm.
And so there were a few things I had to kind of move around in my work life, but I was like, this just feels like something that I have to do.
Yeah. So tell us about that because, a lot of people who are interested in this program, it's like we're adults, we have day jobs, we have careers, some of us have families. It's like, how do we even, quote unquote, become a student again? And how did you like power through? What was that like, the reality for you?
Oh, honestly, I am not too great with virtual learning. So I was a little bit nervous about that part. But I was talking to Janet Lee, who's been my advisor through all of this. And there's just so many things in place to support you as a student. Like coming back, if it's been a while since I had graduated high school and had no other, you know, official schooling. And so Janet really helped me through that. And I think in the first class that I took, I think it's Grit for Success,
Yep.
you basically like block out and plan out how you're going to work through anything that comes up where it's like, okay, how are you going to make sure that you have access to Wi-Fi and logistical stuff. And then there was a big conversation that we had about, okay, what's your support system like outside of school? Do you have
Mm.
people that you can lean on to get you through this program and that can support you in the things that you're passionate about? So that was like a great way for me to start off, just really focusing on, okay, how are we going to work through this and anticipate things coming up and life just happening and still being able to focus on the program and get to where you want to be at the end.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, those realistic expectations to set you up for success is everything.
Mm.
Um, and then what was the challenge of going through the classes while you have a full-time job?
Oh, it's definitely something where you have to adjust and kind of learn how much time it takes you to realistically get the assignments done and make sure you're taking care of everything. I also have ADHD, so sometimes like
Mm.
focusing on one thing is definitely not my strong suit. But it was, again, like leaning on my support system and, reaching out to my teachers. That was a huge thing for me because sometimes I have these blocks with asking for help. I had to push through that and get a little bit uncomfortable and say, hey, can you, have check-ins with me every week, or can you ask me about my assignments that are missing? So I feel some of that, outside motivation to get through it.
Oh my God, what a blessing. Wow. And did many of your classes have the weekly meetings?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had the live lessons every week for all of my
It was
classes
helpful
through
for
the
you?
program. Yeah, I love those because especially with online programs, sometimes it's hard to feel connected with, classmates and teachers. So when you have those meetings, you get to see each other's faces and talk through any questions that you have. Those were super helpful for me, and it kind of helped me feel less alone through the process.
Exactly. Oh, good. What did the homework feel like for you?
For me, it felt like it really allowed you to take your own approach. A lot of the assignments were like, okay, given this client scenario, how would you personally handle it? And I felt like there was a lot of, I don't know if flexibility is the right word, but a lot of freedom to, take the pressure off. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be an expert already. And it allows you to really build on your current foundation of knowledge and then, expand past that and push yourself a little bit. So I
I
like
love
that. I really
that.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, the curriculum's built so that you can make it you, whatever
Mm-hmm.
your modality, you can integrate your piece into the client's purpose, right?
Exactly.
And even in their intention. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. So you said that you're discovering and nourishing yourself in all aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
And is that what you help people do? So in starting your business, just tell us a little bit with where you're at, like maybe your intention. Do you know who you're going to work with? And maybe just share a little bit of your day job too, because
Mm-hmm.
this program probably supports what you do every day as well, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, talking about this just gets me so excited because I feel like I'm exactly, on the right path and doing what I'm meant to be doing. Because in my day job, I'm an academic coach. So I work with high school students that are just trying to make it to graduation. Um, and it's not just dealing with making sure they're getting their homework in and stuff like that. It's kind of assessing what boundaries are there, or sorry, what barriers are there. Like a lot of the students that I work with struggle with their mental health, and they just need somebody to talk to. So I don't know. I've kind of been able to use what I've learned through the program and kind of tap into what motivates my students and use that to help them feel connected to why they're graduating. But in my business, I really love working with women who are really interested in, healing their body. I think it's such a miracle when you can feel at home in your body. And I've recognized that a lot of women, whether it's like they're just stressed with daily life or they've been through some sort of trauma or struggling with mental health issues, it's hard to feel safe in your body. And that's something that I've experienced. And so turning to nutrition and mindfulness as a way to work through those things, I mean, it doesn't make that go away, but it helps you, come back home to yourself and realize, that you can do hard things. And I don't know, I just think those two things have been really pivotal for me in my life. And, sharing the knowledge that I have now with other people, just it kind of fits all the pieces together for me.
I love that so much. And I love that you have nutrition intermingling with mindfulness, because you meet a lot of practitioners out there who don't start with assessing one's diet first. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, how much caffeine in a day? How much sugar? All the processed food? Like, let's talk about, what you're fueling with
Mm-hmm.
first, right? Do you see that nutrition is like I don't know, like a pillar for that health to success, like for all ages?
Oh, absolutely. And I think like no matter where you're at in life, your body is like what carries you through. And
Mm,
so when you're fueling it with things that give you energy and make you feel good, you know, I really love how like when you take care with like the mind, body, spirit connection, when you take care of one, you're taking care of all three. So with nutrition, you're taking care of your body, which influences your mental health, and it just kind of trickles down through everything.
yeah, I love that. Do you have a certain age that you're thinking of working with in your demographic? Like when you're defining your niche, which I think you did in one of the business classes, is that shifted at all since you graduated?
I think I've kind of stayed pretty true to what I've decided through the program. I really wanted to work with women that are in like their 20s and 30s and just kind of navigating adulthood, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like nutrition can seem like such an overwhelming thing.
Mm.
So sometimes it feels like just another thing on your plate to deal with on top of school, work, family, relationships. And so I think I have a special talent for breaking things down and helping people see the little steps forward. Um, and I just get so excited working with young people and like helping them create a path to wellness early on.
Yay. How are you marketing yourself or plan to market yourself in the future?
I've been using social media a lot. I mean, that's something that I kind of like to do for fun anyway, because I'm a
Mhm.
writer and I like to share my poems online. And so it felt kind of like a natural shift
Mm.
to post about my business and my coaching online. And it really allows me to use my creative side. It's like creating fun graphics and, sharing stories on Instagram. That feels like really natural for me. So that's what I've been doing so far. Yeah.
It's like an art, right? You're
Hmm.
using that creative part of your brain and you're branding at the same time. It's a win-win.
Yeah. It's so fun. Which
Do
is, it's
you?
kind of, oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's kind of funny because going into some of the business classes, I was like,
Mm.
this is not really my forte. I don't really know much about, branding, and putting myself out there sometimes feels a little bit uncomfortable. And I liked how the classes were set up, and the instructors really focus on like make this your own and do it in a way that feels right for you. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go and have fun with it, and it's been really amazing so far.
Good. Yeah, I've loved following you since I read your article when you graduated to see just how you're putting yourself out there and watching your brand grow. And it's just one of those things, like until you do it, it can be intimidating. But once you
Mm-hmm.
start and you're actually out there doing it, you're like, oh my gosh, like this wasn't so bad, you
Oh
know?
yeah,
So you're
absolutely.
having
And like
fun.
it's interesting because when you feel that huge amount of fear,
Mm.
I've personally learned that usually that means you're on the right track. You just have to push a little bit through that. And like so much magic is right on the other side of that fear.
Amen. That's so true. Okay, I want to lean into something with you that we've actually had a lot of, students and graduates say they're totally like put off by social media lately. I'm wondering if this shows up in your day job too, where people are also addicted to social media. Like, how do you coach people through, number one, I guess, the addiction? And then number two, how would you coach people who need to use social media kind of as a marketing tool? Like, how would you tee that up as a coach?
I think it's always important to remember, there's positives and negatives to everything. It's like when you think about food, when you have certain foods, even foods that are so healthy for you and you really enjoy, if you only eat that, your gut is not going to have enough diversity and it won't lead to a healthful life. So I think there's ways to approach it with balance and kind of realizing, okay, how can I learn from this? How can I use this to get me where I want to be? Rather than how can I get swallowed up in this and, go down all the rabbit holes and get stuck in that loop,
Yeah. And because I do coaching on the back end for graduates in our Lean Into Your Success group. And that was one topic that I did. And it was just a lot about those healthy boundaries, like establishing what those boundaries are, but having the self-awareness to say, okay, not following this person. And number one, not comparing ourselves was like a biggie to, we don't compare our success to other people's success.
That's a huge, and it's easy to fall in that, right? It's like a natural human tendency. And I think it also helps when you focus on, okay, what is my unique talent, my unique perspective, my unique energy that I can bring to this. And I have to remind myself, like, nobody else can offer what I offer this world in the way that I offer it. So it's just kind of like being really grounded in your own purpose really helps with the not falling into that comparison trap.
Yes. So are you building your practice kind of like on the side while you have your day job? What's your intention and startup, to get going? And what's your business name?
My business name is it's Rising Tide Healing, and it's actually based off of the saying, "A rising tide lifts all boats." Because I think of it as like one person's positive energy can have this ripple effect where it just kind of goes out and lifts everybody up. So I just feel like that's kind of my purpose, and that's what I'm focused on, building up my business. Right now, like I said, I'm an academic coach during the day, and I'm building up my business on the side. And I think it would be really interesting to coach with another health and wellness practice, kind of see how they do things as I'm kind of building my clientele and putting myself out there, and then using what I've learned in that space, kind of going off on my own with my business. So that's the plan for now.
I love the rise of tide for you, because you notice the background picture that I have created for you. I was going through all your posts, and my favorite was the water metaphor, just like how that showed up for you in your life, and how fitting. And I didn't even know that was the name of your
right. I
your
just
practice.
noticed that too, and I was like, oh, it gives me giving me
Yeah, it's
tingles.
actually you. It's not a stock photo. Okay. Well, this is so good. What was so I guess for all the people curious who are, like on the fence, was there anything you had to conquer within yourself before saying yes to this path, this journey?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like for me, one of the biggest things is like I want to put myself out there and be seen for what I have to offer. But at the same time, that's been what I've been the most afraid of. because when you put yourself out there, you're opening yourself up to rejection and failure and all these things that have these negative connotations. And so I really had to kind of rewire and um, reset my mindset towards like, I deserve to be seen. I have a lot to offer. And, you know, those setbacks, the rejections, the failures that are inevitable, they're going to happen and have happened. Those are only going to, you know, like allow me to realign with the people that are looking for exactly what I have to offer. Like it goes back to, you know, my unique purpose and energy. There are people that are searching for that and needing to hear the message that I have to share. And that's not going to be everybody, but eventually with those redirections, um, it's all going to align the way it's supposed to. So I just kind of had to work through that and allow myself to be seen in that way, which is terrifying at first, you know?
I do. But being seen and heard can be one of the scariest feelings in life. And once you say yes to that, I mean, it's like, uh-oh, what did I do? Right. Mm-hmm. And then being accountable. So once you step up in that role and you say yes, and then you're holding space for people, then you know it's like, okay, now I need to be accountable and be able to hold my own, be able to show up for people in that way. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think some healers, practitioners, they think they have to have it all right, you know, to be practicing. But at the end of the day, too, it's like, you're still a human. You're gonna have your trials, and you'll learn how to just sit it on the side, hold the space, and you know, then tend to it in that professional way.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because that's another thing that I was nervous about. Cause it's kind of like, you know, I still have my own struggles with mental health, and sometimes there's those thoughts of, oh, do you really, is this mindfulness really helping you? Or, you know, and I think I had to kind of reframe it to focus on like my struggles and my imperfections are going to inform my practice, right? Because perfection is not really attainable, and other people want somebody that's human and that can relate with the things that they're going through. So I think that's really helped me in being able to hold that space for people, is realizing that I don't have to have it all figured out either, and just allows me to get out of my own head and just be with whoever I'm in that moment with.
Yeah. Amen. And the more you practice, the more you'll realize, and because it's natural for us to project our own stuff and experiences onto our clients. So when you catch yourself doing that, you know, that's like when you know you're like, okay, yeah, this happens no matter how seasoned I am, because we're human. But it's that just holding space for their intention that makes it powerful for them, right?
Exactly. Just kind of meeting them where they're at.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. What was your favorite part of the program? If you could say one.
I don't necessarily have a favorite class, but a favorite kind of aspect of the journey was that I kind of got to put myself through the coaching process. And that really allowed me to kind of be a beginner again. You know, I try to be a lifelong learner. And so, like, putting myself through the coaching process, it was great to really see how I can make changes in my own life. And then once I got through it, I was like, okay, now I have such a better understanding of what it is actually like to go through such a transformation, you know? And the clients that I work with aren't always going to be in the place that I was, or, you know, their lives probably don't look like mine all the time. And so being able to step out of what I've always been in and take a different path was just a really good shift for me to have.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Thank you. And that's what makes you an even better practitioner, and why the classes are so great, right? Because you get to sit in both seats, like you get to experience it from both spectrums. You even get to observe some of your classmates, and some of them like report back on, you know, what your outsider view was, because then you can see things or think of things that, whether you're the practitioner or the client, that you're not in that, you know, in that space.
Absolutely.
So that's super helpful. Did you, for the last question, thank you for being on here with me. Was there like a big aha moment for you that you had in this program where you were just like, wow, that shifted a lot for you? Or is it still integrating?
Oh, I just feel like there were so many. It is one of those things where you get to relearn and unlearn things. I kind of got to a point where I realized how important accountability is for my clients. And then I was able to provide some accountability for myself in pushing past those fears and still showing up, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not, you know, exactly where I want to be in the end. Allowing myself to make those small steps forward is still going forward. So that was huge for me.
Isn't it amazing how others become like such intense reflections for us?
Oh my gosh.
Especially our clients.
It's so interesting to see. And it's like sometimes it brings out things in yourself that you haven't fully dealt with, and allows you to say, okay, maybe let's explore this a little more.
They call that peeling back the onion, right? The layers, that shadow work, and that journey of consciousness is, you know, it's never over. We just get to reveal certain aspects of ourselves in certain ways and certain times.
For sure.
So, wow. Well, I celebrate your success for, you know, completing the program, for ramping up your business while you have a full-time job, and just saying yes, you know, to that calling to serve women in the way that you are, and in your day job. I know that's gotta get that, what your program has to help for sure, hold in that space too. So
absolutely.
is there any piece of advice or just a takeaway that you would want to share with others in, you know, who you are and what you have to offer?
I think my biggest piece of advice would be to follow your gut. And when your gut says to take the step, take it fully and really commit to that. You know, especially with this program that I went through with Sweeha, there were times where it felt so uncomfortable, and just kind of coming back to that commitment that, like, okay, this is something that I felt so strongly connected to, and I want to allow myself to grow through this. And so staying grounded in that, knowing that that's where I'm meant to be, and just kind of trusting my intuition on that. That's really what got me through the uncomfortable parts of the journey. So that would be my biggest thing.
Getting comfortable being uncomfortable. The only way out is through. And no one's getting out alive.
Yep. Yep. Well, it's just
Yeah.
eventually all that commitment and the work is going to pay off, and you will grow so much as a person and a practitioner, and it's a beautiful journey.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, for hopping on with me and, just showing up in the ways that you do for endless souls
Mm,
is what it is for sure.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
I know. Well, thank you for saying yes. And good luck out there. By the way, Janine, in the Facebook Lean Into Your Success private group, I'll be coaching around imposter syndrome on Friday at noon. You might be working, but the replay will be in there because just it's really helpful, right?
Oh, I love that. Yes,
I
that's a
know.
big thing that comes up.
Yeah, me too. Still does.
Hmm.
So, all right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. And thanks everybody for joining. Leave comments and questions. Have a
Thank
nice night,
you.
Janine.
Bye
Bye.
bye.